I'm Andi, and I am an assistant teaching professor in English at Penn State at the University Park campus. Welcome to my video, Labor in Academia, a Contingent Faculty Member's Experience. This is my story. A bit of background. So, what does it mean to be contingent in academia? It means that I do not have job security. I am temporary. I can be not renewed or fired at any time for any reason. I carry a high teaching load. This means I teach more classes per semester than tenure track and tenured faculty. I am paid less than tenure and tenure track faculty. I am not protected by a union, and I do not have collective bargaining power. Some contingent contracts give access to insurance, others do not. Since I am full-time here at Penn State, thankfully, I do have insurance coverage. However, someone who is part-time, who may also teach as many classes per year as I do, may not. The first time I felt my job insecurity, I was working as an adjunct at WVU, labeled part-time on paper, but carrying a full-time schedule. I made $22,000 a year before taxes, but my take-home was about $16,000 after. I was paid by the section. It was late in the spring semester, maybe March or April. Outside it was warm, but the university buildings were like ice boxes. The department chair, Jim, and the associate chair, Brian, called all of the adjuncts into the fishbowl. This was a graduate classroom that had windows on all sides. So 15 to 20, maybe 25 of us sat elbow to elbow at this heavy mahogany table, or maybe it was just oak, stained to look mahogany, because besides. They told us that the dean's office decided we were too expensive. That was the terminology they used. So we'd all be losing sections in the upcoming academic year. This would be a loss of $3,200 to $6,400 a year for each one of us. And we would no longer be entitled or even qualify for insurance. This was deliberate. I was pissed. We were all pissed. It took everything I had not to scream or cry or barf in that moment. Instead, I just sat in a deep blue upholstered chair with gold abstract designs. Everything crossed. Arms, legs, every fiber of my being crossed. Staring at the heavy table, I was sure it was just stained to look mahogany. Even though it wasn't Jim or Brian's fault, I couldn't make eye contact with them for the rest of the meeting. I took a few days to calm down, and then I wrote my letter of resignation, without another job lined up. Jim and Brian understood and supported my decision, assured me that they would always be there if I needed them, and we still talk sometimes. A few months later, Penn State called. Penn State offered me a full-time contingent position. I would have insurance coverage to an extent, and I'd make $11,000 more than I did at WVU. I make roughly $33,000 a year before taxes, about $24,000 take home after taxes. That's about $2,000 a month. The cost of living in Pennsylvania is higher than that of West Virginia. I pay about $100 more a month for 100 square feet less in apartment space, which adds up. With a contingent contract, I couldn't negotiate moving expenses. I paid relocation fees out of pocket, which was about $4,000 just to get my stuff on and off a truck. I would not have been able to accept the offer if my partner had not also been offered a similar position. In a typical semester, I am on campus for roughly 10 hours on days I'm teaching. I usually have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Even when I'm not on campus, I usually pull 10 to 12-hour work days. Grading, answering emails, and lesson planning. I hold office hours every week and schedule additional meetings outside of that time for students who can't make them. Typically, I get my teaching schedule about 10 to 20 days before the first day of class is scheduled to begin. So it's not a lot of time to create a syllabus or plan a course. But it is typical for contingent faculty. We are the last to be assigned courses, but do the bulk of the teaching at any given institution. I also do committee work, which is unpaid labor. Although committee work and engagement is not required in my contract, it is still expected. And women typically perform more service than men in academia. For example, about a year ago, the English department got approval to run an experiment on the effects of a reduced class size in intensive writing programs. This was the class size pilot program. In the class size pilot program, only one man served on the committee out of 9 instructors. All the rest were women. In a pandemic semester, I am creating 6 online lessons and attending 15 Zoom meetings per week. I hold Canvas chat office hours and answer student emails daily. So even remotely, the demands are quite intense, and soon the grading will come. Before the proper pandemic semester started, revisions were made to contingent faculty contract offers. The university has always been able to not renew us for any reason. But now they've given themselves the flexibility to reduce our pay or furlough us without notice. Why without notice? I've asked my department head, the associate head, program coordinators, and even the dean of the college. No one had an answer, if they even bothered to respond. Over the summer, we did see the university enact pay reductions and layoffs. Maintenance worker salaries were reduced by 50%, and they are protected by a union. That's what their union negotiated. Administration said that this was so that they could collect unemployment. Spun it as helping. Cutting someone's salary in a pandemic is not helping. It is not benevolent. It is divorcing responsibility. If my pay is reduced by 50%, like maintenance had experienced, I can't afford to teach. I'll only be making around $16,000 a year, which is not enough to live in central Pennsylvania. This is the reality of the situation. The year I came in, I read in a Penn State Today article that the university president had just been given a bonus of $30,000 on top of his already 6-figure salary. This is $3,000 shy of my annual salary, but this was just a bonus. The article carried a tone of celebration, but my stomach lurched, and I threw up. Many administrators, like deans and university presidents, have company expense accounts, full coverage insurance, and the president even gets a house. Teaching faculty do not have these luxuries. We also do not make 6-figure salaries, especially in the humanities. So we feel the pay cuts and furloughs intensely. We live paycheck to paycheck in most cases. The university has an emergency endowment that they haven't touched yet, about $4 billion, I think. There is no bigger emergency than a global pandemic, in my view. This emergency endowment could easily cover or sustain teaching faculty salaries during the pandemic, but administrators chose to amend our contracts and asked us to find teaching buddies, i.e. replacements, in the event of our death instead. Enrollment in the College of Liberal Arts is up 16% at the University Park campus. So who does this affect? At Penn State in the English department at the University Park campus, there are 56 women and 38 men. That's a total of 94 in contingent positions. There are 31 men and 27 women on tenure track or tenure lines. That's 58 total. So this shows us that contingent faculty outnumber tenure track and tenured faculty members, and there's a gender disparity among faculty. If Penn State cuts contingent salaries, they do so disproportionately to women. So why stay, and what can we do? Teaching is part of my identity, just like being a writer. I have worked too hard to cultivate this identity, and I will not give it up without a fight. So I will talk, be honest about conditions and inequities. I will borrow from bell hooks and talk too much. I'll write poems, stories, articles, Facebook posts, you name it. I'll keep talking, just like others in my position, until administration finds it difficult to sleep at night and there are enough voices screaming at the top of their lungs that we change the system. I invite you to do the same. Just keep talking, or start talking. Thank you for watching. This is only the beginning of my protest.